All right. Hi, Emma. My name's Mike. I'll be your student physical therapist today under the direction of Dr. B. So today what we're going to do, we're just going to go over a couple of functional tests. They're just baseline tests just to gauge our progress over the time working together. And then we're going to work on a couple of exercises. Do you feel comfortable doing those things? Great. So what we'll do, I'll explain out all those things. We'll make sure that we use a pulse ox just to monitor your heart rate, and we'll be taking your blood pressure throughout just to make sure we're as safe as possible. If you feel unsafe at any time or you feel like you need to take a break or rest, please let me know. I mean, our number one priority is make sure that you feel comfortable and safe. Do you have any questions?
No.
Great. So the outcome measures I decided to use are the 5 times sit to stand and the timed up and go. I decided to use these because they are highly recommended by the Parkinson's Edge Task Force. The timed up and go is very functional. It deals with getting up from seated, walking, turns, and then going from standing back to seated. And then I like the 5 times sit to stand just to measure power, get a gauge of how well the patient's lower extremities are functioning. For 5 times sit to stand, over 16 seconds is a high predictor of falls. And then for the tug, I found quite a few different numbers on this. So just some general ones. 16 seconds was predictive of fallers, and then I found another study that had 12 seconds predicted falls when patients were on their meds and 15 seconds predicted falls when they were off of their meds. Both of these outcome measures I feel will be very functional for the patient, especially as she gets older and the possibility of progressing on the Hone and Yar scale increases. I think this will also be a good measure of effectiveness of medication as she starts to decline. She may see numbers that are closer to her baseline when she's on her medication versus off. So for my first exercise, I will instruct the patient to walk down the hallway. I place various pieces of tape along the wall around shoulder height. And my instructions will be to walk at the beat of the metronome, which I will set at 75 beats per minute. And I want her to swing her arms up past the tape line as she walks to the metronome. I chose this just because of the patient's husband reported decreased arm swing, and walking to the beat of the metronome a little faster paced will help improve her gait speed, along with over exaggerating that arm swing, big and fast movements to help keep her gait speed up along with her arm swing. So I'll monitor this exercise. I didn't have a pulse ox with me, but I would definitely place a pulse ox on the patient. Because of the stage of Parkinson she's at, I don't think a gait belt is necessary at this juncture, but it's definitely something to include later on in treatment as she gets older, as her disease progresses. Taking blood pressure in between sets is also beneficial, along with taking self-reported RPE. So I'd have her do this for a set of 2 minutes, just because it's pretty low, has a pretty low energy requirement, and I do 3 sets of that. Just having her turn back and forth down the hallway. To increase the difficulty of this exercise, I could increase the metronome time, or the beats per minute. I can increase the time of walking, so she's walking for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then I can include light wrist weights or have her hold dumbbells as she swings, just to involve a little bit more of the upper extremity musculature. To decrease the difficulty of this exercise, definitely slowing down the metronome and lowering the time between, or the time of reps would be beneficial, along with taking longer rests. Having her rest longer in between would be an easy way to decrease the difficulty. For my second exercise, I decided to have her do another walking exercise. This time, have her hold her hands palms down around wrist height and have her walk to the beat of a metronome while bringing her knees up to her hands. So basically doing a high knees exercise at the beat of a metronome. This one I would do just for 3 sets of 30 seconds at 85 beats per minute, a little bit faster. And again, I would gauge to see how difficult that was and increase or decrease difficulty based on patient tolerance. But I would monitor this the same way with blood pressure in between sets, have the patient do a self-reported RPE, and use a pulse ox. I'd definitely have a gait belt later on in treatment. But to increase the difficulty, I would increase the time she does this. I would have the beats per minute on the metronome increased, and I could also have the patient put ankle weights on just to make the resistance a little higher. Then to decrease the difficulty, you could decrease the metronome, obviously. Longer rests like with the previous exercise, or I could decrease the length of time that she does the high knees, or just have her do it walking down a hallway and just have her do lengths. So have her do 1 set of up and down and back on the hallway, including a turn, and so I don't have my patient with me, but this is kind of how the conversation would go as I discussing the plan of care with her. I would say that I would like to see her once or twice a week, and we'll start with 8 weeks. I'll see her for 2 months, and treatment will include a lot of functional exercise, just a lot of movement. I'd want to keep the intensity of her movements and her exercise fairly high, while not fatiguing her to the point of not being able to exercise or move. I would inform her that a lot of the movements and exercises that we'll do will be very functional to help improve her day-to-day life, just help her be able to move more efficiently. I would include fall prevention and fall recovery as part of her plan of care, just helping educate her to know that falls are a very real possibility, and to be as safe as possible, to prevent further injury. Goals for this patient really depend on how the patient performs on the outcome measures. For the 5 times sit to stand, if she were a 11, I would want to set the goal that she, by the end of the 8 weeks, stays under, I would say 12 or 13 seconds. I want to make sure that she is maintaining the power in her lower extremities. I understand that increasing that power may not be feasible. So I'd say by the end of the 8 weeks that she will demonstrate a 5-time sit stand less than 13 seconds, just to slow the decline as much as possible. If for the tug, if she were, at 12 or 13 seconds on the tug, I would want to do the same thing. By the end of the 8 weeks, patient is able to continue to do the tug under 13 or 14 seconds, just to prevent any decline, maintain functionality and quality of life.